G'day friends, I would just like to introduce myself to any of my friends. I don't know most of the subscribers on here, just one or two. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I hope you enjoy what I've got up. There's a variety of stuff, you know, like plenty of older comments on climate change and more recently me and my guitar and one of my friends who comes around from time to time. Yes, all I'm doing is I've played the guitar. I mean, I learned to play the guitar when I was a teenager, but I went on with life after that, and I didn't play for a very long time. I was in the British Navy for a few years, and then after that I learned how to build computers in the early 1970s. Then I moved to London and found myself living above a music shop in Shepherd's Bush, where I got employed to deliver musical instruments to venues where people were hiring the musical instruments from the shop. And that's how I ended up becoming a roadie for a band locally in London called Camel. I worked on and off for them for about 3 years, and then we went to America, had a quick trip over there, and came back, and I got another tour with another band, and I ended up living over there. I don't really want to go into all of that too much, but I toured with a lot of big rock stars back in the 70s and the early 80s before the lifestyle got the better of me. And I decided to put it aside, and I decided to go take up surfing, and I moved out to California and took up surfing, and then I married an Australian lady, and here I am in Down Under, which is how I ended up with this pseudonym that I call myself, John Down Under. It's not actually my real name, obviously, and some of you know it and some of you don't. I tend to keep that to myself until I get to know you. Anyway, look, the point is, last year I had a rather significant birthday, and I decided, you know, I'd been trying to play the piano. I've got a piano over there, electric piano, Roland RD NX 300, I think it is. I got sort of okay with it. I just transposed my learning on the guitar onto the piano and played chords. And I had a girlfriend a few years ago. We wrote a few songs together. And then when we broke up, which is 5 years ago now, I haven't really played it since. And I've had an acoustic guitar all that time, and I barely ever touched that. But like I said, last year I had a rather significant birthday, and I decided to, you know, I looked at myself and I thought, time's getting short, mate. If you're going to learn how to play properly, now's the time. So I bought myself, I bought myself a few of these, not this particular brand or this model, but I've got a few electric guitars now, and I've got a nice, I've got two amps. I've got this Roland Cube behind me, and over there I've got a small Vox. It's not an AC30, it's less than that. I think it's a 10 watt. Like this is a 10 watt, but it's just solid. I think they're both solid state actually. But this one I prefer because it's got a few effects in it. Anyway, the idea is I want to learn how to play lead guitar. So I found that YouTube is an encyclopedia for anybody who wants to learn anything, basically. So there's lots of people on there teaching guitar in many different shapes and forms, and I follow a few of them. I tried subscribing to one channel last year, and I spent a bit of money on that, but I found I couldn't follow it, so I decided to do what I always do, and that's just sort of pick and choose what I want to learn and what I want to follow that's interesting me in the moment that day. And well, I quickly learned that I need to know how to play the pentatonic scales, and that's basically where I'm at. You know, I've only been doing it for a short time. When I say a short time, it's probably most of this year, which is 8 or 9 months at least. And I try and play every day for an hour or two if I can. And recently I've started to play along with backing tracks. I found some decent backing tracks. They're not all perfect, but some of them are pretty good, and I can just sort of jam along with them. And what it's doing is helping me to find my way around the fretboard. I mean, I know most of the chords, and that's the open chords I'm doing there. But you know, the bar chords and all that sort of thing, and the scales. So that's sort of where I'm at. But in all honesty, I'm looking to find a person that's in a similar place to me, or maybe better, or maybe a little bit behind me, I don't know. But with a similar interest, so that we can learn off each other and maybe build up a bit of a repertoire and have a bit of fun. So I've signed up with a musicians network here on the Gold Coast where I live, and I put an ad up this morning, and I've had one direct message, and I've had several people like what I put up, comment without commenting. So you know, it's the beginning of perhaps finding my way with a little help from someone else, and it's more a case of, what's the word, when you're playing with someone else, you can get more involved and get stimulation. You know, like if I'm just playing by myself, I've got to just stick to that format with the soundtrack, the backing track. But with someone else, we can sort of bounce off each other and ideas, and I think that's what I would prefer to do. You know, I've found out late in life that it's good to work with others, to help others, and be helped, to allow myself to be helped, instead of being such a stubborn individual doing everything my way. But I'm enjoying myself, you know, regardless of all that. So anyway, I'm going to stop yakking here, and this may become the preface to the next video of me playing, or I may just put this up as an introduction and leave it at that, and see if others would like to subscribe. You know where to do it, it's down there somewhere. Subscribe and click on the bell so you get a notification whenever I put up a new video. And please comment and pass your experience or wisdom, whatever you want to call it. Get back to me. Anyway, I might leave it at that and say thank you for listening, and hope to hear from you soon. Oh, and before I go, here's a little example of my guitar and where I'm at with it. Okay, so this is the amp. I thought I'd better that's the A minor pentatonic scale, and that shape works as well for the relative minor, which is, well, that's A minor. It's also the major key for C. If I start with the C note, whoops, hang on. If I start with the A note on the same shape, it's the A minor, which is the relative minor to C. And that applies all over the fretboard, and that really makes it much simpler to move around the fretboard. You just have to learn all the. There's these things called the cage system, which is CAGED, and they use the open chord shape to. I'm not going to go into that in detail. You can Google that or look on YouTube for that. You'll find dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of explanations. And I am not that familiar that I could explain it in detail. But I have learned that there's different shapes up and down the fretboard, and you have to learn how to interconnect them, which is what I'm learning to do when I'm playing with the backing tracks, which I find pretty useful. So I probably shouldn't go any longer than that, because I wanted to wind this video up, just give an introduction to myself. And I didn't want to go into the technical parts of it, but I thought you might like to hear the guitar. That's actually a little bit of the lead in a song that I wrote or composed. I didn't write it, I just composed it. You'll find it on my YouTube page with one of my friends playing backing to it. It's far from complete, but it's an idea I've kind of got on hold for now until I can play better and have some more ideas to assemble. Because I've got lots of bits and pieces that I've recorded that are the beginnings of compositions, but they're incomplete. And it's because I'm not a skilled musician yet in order to complete them. And I thought if I had a buddy to play with on a regular basis, that might be able to help complete those projects. And we could help each other if he's got projects, or she, depends on who comes along. So there you have it. I thought I'd just add that little piece to the end of the video, and I'll wish you all well today, and thanks for listening, and I'll hopefully hear from you again soon. Thank you and goodbye for now.